Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would do something different today and actually give you guys a garden tour of my property. Instead of some how-to videos, you guys can see exactly where I'm gardening. I got inspired by this because my uncle came over and he was surprised by how small my garden actually is considering what it looks like on camera. And so I thought that it would be kind of fun just to take you guys through what my yard actually looks like and just how much space I'm gardening in, because hence the name Urban Gardening Canada. I'm gardening in an urban area and you just can't give up your entire yard to garden all the time. And so I'm an example of that, and I'm just going to show you guys what my garden looks like. Before we get into today's video, I wanted to let you know about a new course that I've created called Adapt and Thrive: Gardening in a Changing Climate. This course is all about building a stronger, more resilient garden in the face of climate change, and I'm going to add the link to the course in the description below. When you get there, you'll be able to find a free preview of the course, so that way you can get a feel for exactly what's inside that course. All right, let's get into today's video. So we're gonna start in the front yard, which is where I plant all of my flowers. My neighbor is out, thought I would wave to him. And so I have converted a big chunk of my front yard into flowers, and I do a lot of different perennials. Let me show you. So this is my front garden. It doesn't look very good. It looks pretty bad this year. I haven't had a lot of time to maintain it, and the grass is really catching up to the edge of the garden here, but it's all perennials for the most part. I've got yarrow, I have daisies here, you can see a little bit of the flowers still, and then I've got the echinacea, and then I got a few annuals. I got some asters here, and then some sedum, and this garden is really like overgrown its space. So I do have to move a lot of things. I've just finished deadheading all of the daisies here. And I have a beautiful peony and some black-eyed Susans. And there are actually hellebores somewhere down here. They've just been drowned out by all the perennials. I've got a hellebore right there. And then I have all along the side of my driveway, I had blazing stars, but they're done for the season. And then if you come through to here, this is more of my annual bed. I have a lot less perennials in here. So the cosmos, they were all reseeded from last year. Some kind of sage that I have here. And then some more peonies, because peonies are my favorite flower. And then I've got some lavender that I grew from seed because I absolutely love lavender. And then over here I've got some more Russian sage, but the grasshoppers just go absolutely nuts for this, and so it looks really terrible. And again, this is more annuals that I either planted or they self-seeded from last year. And that's really my entire front garden. There's not much else that I got going on here. I have a little deck to sit out front and talk to my neighbors. And then I've got a lilac bush here. I have a really nice size weed right there. I'm very good at growing weeds. And that's really my entire flower garden in the front here. And then I have this goofy little garden in the middle of my yard. It's actually really irritating to mow around. And I don't know why I have it here. I was growing pumpkins here. I thought the pumpkins could take over the lawn, and they never did last year. And so I got like a zucchini, a yellow zucchini, and some chamomile here, and then a cucumber plant that's growing right there. You can see the cucumber coming up. And then I did have a delicata there, but it died. And then if you come along my side yard here is probably like half my gardens, of my vegetable gardens. This is really a big chunk of them. I don't actually have a ton of space. So when I first moved in, I bought these metal raised beds here. They were the first thing that I purchased. And I got them from Raised Beds Canada, and the reason that I picked these out is because they sell multi-packs and they're really affordable. So let me just flip you a little further down so you can see better. So these beds are 2 foot by 3 foot beds, and I think I paid like $150 for the 2 of them or something like that, and that's pretty good for metal raised beds. And so I was pretty pleased to be able to get those, and I was desperate because we had moved here in the end of August, so I just needed any kind of garden, and they just made the most sense. They were super fast to put together, and they've just done me really well. I think they're 18 inches deep, and I definitely see a difference when you have a raised bed that's only like 5 inches deep, or these ones that are like 17 inches deep. I can see a difference in the way my plants grow. And so I definitely have a preference to these 17-inch beds now that I've been growing with them. Okay, let me show you what I've got planted in this garden. So here I have red celery. And I mean, it's pretty interesting and good, but I definitely prefer like the typical Utah green celery over this one. And then I've done some winter sowing in here. So I've got some carrots and then a little bit of basil over here and some other, a bit of lettuce that's growing. And then I've got more cucumbers. This variety is from West Coast Seeds. It's a hybrid variety. Not typically a huge fan of hybrids, but they gifted it to me. And they're a snacking cucumber, and so they just grow these. I think that they might be self-pollinating, and they just produce like crazy, like so many cucumbers, I can't even keep up with it. And then I have, these are the Chicago pickling cucumbers. Obviously, I left this on the vine too long, but these are my favorite type of pickling cucumbers. They make such a good crispy pickle, so they're really, really good. And then I had just sown these later in the season, but sadly they seem to have gotten sick, so that's a bit of a disappointment. But these are more of like a slicing cucumber, but I'm not sure if they'll grow. And then I've got some fall peas growing in here, and some chives, of course. Every garden needs chives. And then I have a really tiny zucchini. I started this at the same time as our other zucchini plants, and it just never really grew. And, you know, it's pretty well September, so disease is expected. But, oh, see, these things, I have to pick these 2 plus that one up there. So, and I picked one earlier today. These things grow so fast. And then here I have my, I have some sweet potatoes. That is a sweet potato there. And then I have this really wonderful tomato. It's called Principe something, and it's specifically made for sun-drying tomatoes. And even if you eat the tomatoes like just cooked in a sauce or a curry or something, they are so tasty. And you can see that it just produces so many. I did a really bad job of staking this tomato, and I just can't be bothered at this point in the season, but they are super tasty. I'm planning on saving seeds out of these and keeping it. And then I have some leeks here, and of course more sweet potato, and then I've got some fall bean plants because beans are the perfect plant to fill up anything. And I got a nasturtium and some Brussels sprouts. And then here's my cold frames, and these are supposed to have strawberries in them, but the voles ate the strawberries over the winter, and so now it's just filled with kale and some pepper plants that are clearly not getting any light. And then here's the ones that do have strawberries in them, except for this clearly is like 80% weeds and 20% strawberries. I didn't get to this garden at all this summer, and it's desperately needing to be weeded. And it also has the saddest little eggplant in it too. But the bees are really liking the oregano. This here's oregano that is flowering, and they're really enjoying that. And then here's my comfrey. So if you didn't catch my video on how to make fertilizer with this, this is an incredible plant for permaculture gardens to make your own fertilizer. And then here are my strawberries, my raspberries, blackberries, hascap berries, blueberries. Clearly I planted too many things in one garden. And the rabbits keep eating this down every winter down to a stump. And this year it has made an epic comeback. These are probably like 5 feet tall. And I also have a rhubarb hidden back there. But these are like super duper tall. This guy here goes over my head. That one's sticking out. And I'm looking forward to getting some raspberries soon. Some late season raspberries. And then here I've got some sage and some thyme and some weeds. So it's a pretty jammed garden. So, and then here is another really large weed. So this one here is my latest endeavor. This is a perennial garden that I built just this spring. And so we've got our deck right here with a glass railing, and I thought it would be really nice that when you're looking off the deck that you can see a bunch of flowers. And so I bought pretty well all of the seeds from the Ontario Seed Company, OSC, because they sell perennial flower seeds, and it's the cheapest way to build a perennial garden. So I will show you that. And it's mixed with some annuals that I had left over from the front garden and some perennials that we found on the side of the road from the neighbors as they were splitting everything up. So this garden doesn't really look like much because it's in its first year. And this sedum, like, something happened to it. All of the heads were just like melting off essentially. So I've got the sedum and the echinacea, and all back here are foxgloves. And then of course cosmos and some slug-loved hostas. And I think this is a weed, but I planted globe thistle for the first time in my life, and this definitely looks thistly. And I don't know what it looks like, so I'm not pulling it until I can guarantee what the heck it is. And this is the most beautiful hollyhock you've ever seen in your life. Oh, it is so incredible. And the bees can actually use it. Usually I don't like anything that's like frilly or double petal because it's really hard on the bees. But the bees are actually able to get to the pollen here. And so for me, it's totally worth growing it again. So I have more seeds, so I'm going to try and get more than a single plant. But like, look at the number of blooms up there. I got some more foxgloves and some status. And this maybe is a weed too. But I don't know. So I'm just going to leave it for now. And then I got some straw flowers here. And then this beautiful cosmo that I have here. This thing is so beautiful. And of course a bird bath. That we have a rock in the middle so it's not so deep. I don't know what's going on in here. These annuals are kind of everywhere. And then I didn't expect the status to be so tippy over. So it gets in the lawn, which I find very annoying for mowing. And then I've got a hydrangea. So this came from the side of the road. Someone was giving that away. And some more asters down here, which are so beautiful. And then I got some blanket flower. And look at all the bees on the sedum. So this one also came from the road, and it is doing so much better than the other one on the other side. Oh my goodness, it's loaded. I'm so happy. I think for me, this is like one of the best parts about building this perennial garden is that I grow a lot of vegetables in the backyard and not a lot of flowers. And so they do get pollen up at the front garden, but really we didn't have anything to be feeding the insects back here quite so much other than our vegetables. And so I'm really happy to have provided a space for the insects back here. Plus, like, how beautiful is this? It's so pretty. Okay, Let me put you down so I can give you a better tour over here. Okay, so this is Colin's garden. I let him have a single garden this year, and I guess it'll make more sense if I just show you guys really quickly. So those 3 gardens, those are, apart from what I just showed you that had the other smaller raised beds, this is it. These are all the gardens that we have. So this is really all we have, are just 3 beds, and one is 5x5, one is, actually 2 of them are 5x5 and one is 5x4. So it's like 100 square feet of growing space. It's really not a lot. So they fill up really fast. And then when you grow a zucchini like that, well, this is Colin's first time ever growing a garden. And so he didn't have a lot of space, and he planted 2 zucchinis into his garden. Pardon? He planted 2 zucchini really close to each other. They're close. And so he crowded his garden pretty hard. But this is the first year we've ever had zucchini survive the entire year. And we did get squash vine borer, but somehow it didn't take them out. They survived. So we're hoping to save seeds from these ones because maybe they are slightly resistant or so strong that they can handle getting damaged by the squash vine borer. So he has been supplying us and the neighborhood with zucchini all summer long, which has been amazing. Okay. So in Colin's garden, we've got some edamame. Of course, the squash. He's got 1 tomato plant that often grows these really huge tomatoes. But this year, with all the rain and the cold that we got, they just haven't really been performing that well. And then we got leeks. And you can see the start of an eggplant right here. Oh, and then there's more. There's more celery in here, but it has been 100% crowded out. So here is one of his zucchinis. It's just out of control. And then here is the other. And so this one got half of it got hit by the squash vine borer. So that's this guy here. And then the other half survived. So that's been interesting. And then we've got some Swiss chard over here and some peppers. And then we'll come over to like my mega Swiss chard. These things are like tree size, so it's going to be really hard for me to cut them down. And the American goldfinches really like to eat them because it gives them calcium after breeding season. And so I like to keep them in my garden in order to feed the birds. And then I have purple Stoke sweet potatoes growing in here. And then of course I've got eggplants, which are here. Oh, here. Show you. Oh, that went in my ear. Sorry, guys. An eggplant. And then I've got ground cherries, but the squirrels have been getting to my ground cherries faster than me. Let me show you from the other side. Okay, so there's that eggplant I was just showing you. And then here's all my ground cherries. I also have bean plants here. My beans. But I planted them so densely that I barely ever see them or find them. So for all I know, I could have like the world's biggest bean hiding somewhere in here. But we'll never know because I can't find anything. And so I thought that planting the sweet potato with the eggplants and stuff would be such a good idea because it provides a ground cover. So it helps with water evaporation. But A, it never stops raining here. And B, I can't find any of my ground cherries because the ground cover covers the ground cherries. So that turned into a bad idea. And then here is my greatest joy. Let me show you guys this. This is my peppers. Look how big they are. So let me put me up there for reference. Like, this is wild. So this is in my sprout box, and I'm not sure if my garden in Burlington was 2 to 3 times the size of this, but we had 2 really large trees in the backyard, so I don't think that I got quite as much sun as I thought I did there. And we get a ton of sun here. There is a tree right back there, but it doesn't give that much shade, and so I'm not sure if it's more sun here or that this is a 32-inch deep container, so the roots have tons and tons of space to grow, or if it's a blend of the two of them. But to have peppers that are bigger than you is just an experience for me, especially growing in Canada, right? Like, you might think that peppers are hard to grow here, but it's been so cold and cloudy here that none of my peppers are ripening, and that part's problematic, especially because I'm trying to grow a bunch of jalapenos to smoke into chipotle, and so I really need them to ripen before we get frost. So fingers crossed. But let me show you up close. Okay, like, I just can't even the amount of peppers. There's 4 right there, and then these are some super hots that I'm growing, and like, I don't even think you can count how many I have there. So these specific super hots have been ripening a little bit, and then so have these ones. And so these are from my friend Chris, who gave them to me, and I am so appreciative, except for I have no idea what to do with hundreds of super hot peppers. But they're beautiful. And then you can see that one red one back there. That's the only jalapeno that I have ripening right now. But it's a jungle. And I've got, you know, more jalapenos here. And these peppers that I'm growing are poblanos for when you make salsa. And they are so productive. And then I mislabeled one plant or 2 plants. So I think these are potentially Scotch bonnets, but I have no idea. They're definitely not bell peppers. And so these plants just, they don't stop. They don't stop. And then I go back to whatever type of mild peppers these are. They're either poblanos, or I did a roasting pepper called Ajvarskis. But like, literally, can you see how many there are? So there's 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's a 10th one starting up here. And then I got more here. And then these are, oh, another ripening jalapeno right here. Look at that. I'm just hoping, like, there's tons of jalapenos on this plant too. I'm just hoping I can get them to ripen so I can make some chipotle, and then on to the other side. Wild, right? Okay, and so that's pretty well everything, except I do have a side yard here that I planted some raspberries and black raspberries into. If you've never tried black raspberries before, I highly recommend them. I'm pretty sure that they're native to Canada, and they're seedy, kind of like a Saskatoon berry, except for they taste like the blue flavor of rocket popsicles. So like a blue raspberry. They're so good. And so this is my side yard, and so this will look familiar to anyone who watched my video on how to plant wine cap mushrooms, because I planted them over here. I'm still waiting, but hopefully I can get some soon. And otherwise, that's it. That's the whole garden, guys. There really isn't that much here. So it's really productive for how small it is, but what you see here, wave, what you see here, and the little tiny bit of row over there is everything we got. And we try and produce what we can, but we are an urban backyard, and we prioritize having other uses in our backyard, such as, you know, hosting and living. and we grow what we can, and we're really happy with it. And I just want to show you guys this to show you that it is possible to garden no matter what size of a yard you have. So anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you later. Bye.